Hello everybody and welcome to this week's episode of Slotted In There's Retro Arcade Games. Right then, strap yourselves in and prep your retinas for today's pixel-powered blast from the past, and today we're going back to 1981 to look at Konami's Scramble. The side-scrolling shoot 'em up that didn't just scroll, it blazed a path through arcade history. Konami first cooked this up in 1980, but by January 1981 it was turning heads at a London trade show. So much so that US distributor Stern thought, we'll have some of this, and started distributing it in the United States. And within the first 5 months of its launch, it had sold over 15,000 cabinets, which back then was blockbuster. At today's prices, those sales generate an income of over $30 million. Wow. Scramble didn't just succeed, it helped cement Konami as an arcade juggernaut. So, what was Scramble? What was the gameplay about? So you pilot a futuristic jet through 6 increasingly hostile terrains. The mission: destroy fuel tanks, bomb ground installations, dodge rockets, and survive as your fuel gauge relentlessly ticks down. Weapons consisted of forward-firing lasers and downward bombs, each with its own cabinet button. Fuel constantly drained, topped up by blowing up fuel tanks. I mean, why not? Levels were 6 distinct zones, no loading screens, just seamless side-scrolling chaos. Enemies involved rockets, UFOs, mystery targets, and terrain that actively wants you dead. Speaking of terrain, this was your greatest nemesis, constantly forcing tight navigation and daring maneuvers. Survive all 6 zones and the game loops with a higher difficulty. Good luck with that. Before Scramble, shooters like Space Invaders were stuck on static screens. Scramble blazed ahead with forced scrolling, multi-stage gameplay and seamless level transitions, a continuous world, not segmented levels. It came just 2 months after Williams' Defender, making it the second ever side-scrolling shooter. But Scramble was one that stuck. Without it, there's no Gradius, no R-Type, and certainly no avalanche of imitators. Its dual weapon setup, forward laser and downward bombs, became a genre staple, echoed in many subsequent classics. So what is Scramble's legacy and influence on the arcade scene? It was Konami's first major arcade hit, moving over 15,000 cabinets. Fuel management added strategic depth, blow up fuel tanks to stay airborne, and it inspired direct successors and genre-defining hits. With Scramble's template now etched into arcade DNA, its offspring began to emerge. Super Cobra in 1981 was the immediate follow-up by Konami, with tougher terrain and meaner enemies. Gradius in 1985 was originally conceived as Scramble 2, but this evolved into a standalone legend with power-up systems and refined mechanics. Published by Konami in Japan in May 1985, later released globally as Nemesis. And then came the protégés, the games that took Scramble's baton and ran riot. R-Type in 1987 took Scramble's foundation, added tactical weapon systems and grotesque biomechanical bosses. Salamander, also by Konami, released in 1986 with a mixed horizontal and vertical scrolling and co-op play. And Thunder Force series from 1983 onwards broadened the formula with speed, flair and dynamic weapons switching. So Scramble was one that I remember more from holidays on the east coast of Yorkshire, rather than in my local arcade of Sunspot, which we've mentioned before in previous episodes. But I'd eagerly look for Scramble in any arcade of whatever seaside town we were visiting at the time, because it was one of those games where, like so many games of that time, they were simple to learn but hard to master, and oh so addictive. Scramble, although being very simple for the time, was such an addictive game, and it kept me going back and back and back. So let's have a look at me playing Scramble in the year 2025, all those years later. It was an extremely hard game back then, so I'm not expecting anything from me replaying it now, but we'll give it a go. So there we go. What do you think? Scramble was one of the best games from my memories of that time in the very, very early 1980s. Did you guys play it? Are you aware of it? Have you got any other suggestions for old arcade games for me to play? If so, write them down in the comments below. And if you can, leave us a like and subscribe, and don't forget to tickle the bell, as Damien says, to be notified of when we release more content like this. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.